It is not all together. I've got it. Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Shilpa. Good morning, Yasmin. Good morning, Archana-di.
Good morning,
Good
Ganga.
morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. So, shall we start reading? We have to read it, Smriti says. So, one of you start reading.
Shall I read?
Who will read?
Shall I start?
Yes, please start. It is not altogether difficult.
It is not altogether difficult for the mind to envisage, even though it may be difficult for the human will, with its many earth ties, to accept this transformation of the spirit and nature of love from the character of a mixed and limited human emotion to a supreme and all embracing divine passion. It is when we come to the works of love that a certain perplexity is likely to intervene. It is possible, as in a certain high exaggeration of the path of knowledge, to cut here also the knot of the problem, escape the difficulty of uniting the spirit of love with the crudities of the world action by avoiding it. It is open to us, withdrawing from outward life and action altogether, to live alone with our adoration of the divine in the heart's silence. It is possible too to admit not only those acts that are either in themselves an expression of love for the divine, prayer, praise, symbolic acts of worship, or subordinate activities that may be attached to these things, and partake of the spirit and to leave aside all else. The soul turns away to satisfy its inner longing in the absorbed or the God centered life of the saint and devotee. It is possible again to open the doors of life more largely and to spend one's love of the divine in acts of service to those around us and to the race. One can do the works of philanthropy, benevolence, and beneficence, charity and succor to man and beast and every creature, transfigure them by a kind of spiritual passion, at least bring into their merely ethical appearance the greater power of a spiritual motive. This is indeed the solution most commonly favored by the religious mind of today, and we see it confidently advanced on all sides as the proper field of action of God seeker or of the man whose life is founded on divine love and knowledge. But the integral yoga push towards a complete union of divine with the earth life cannot stop short in this narrow province or limit this union within the lesser dimensions of an ethical rule of philanthropy and beneficence. All action must be made in it part of the God life. Our acts of knowledge, our acts of power and production and creation, our acts of joy and beauty and the soul's pleasure, our acts of will and endeavor and struggle, and not our acts only of love and beneficent service. Its way to do these things will be not outward and mental, but inward and spiritual. And to that end, it will bring into all activities, whatever they are, the spirit of divine love, the spirit of adoration and worship, the spirit of happiness in the divine and in the beauty of the divine, so as to make all life a sacrifice of the works of the soul's love to the divine, its cult of the master of its existence.
Quite a big para, and we'll look at it very carefully because Rendo's way of expressing, we have to get used to that. Right. So the chapter is, as we have seen, it is the sacrifice of the ascent, okay, and the works of love. So Karma Yoga and love. This, yeah, it is not altogether difficult for the mind to envisage, even though it may be difficult for the human will, with its many earth ties, to accept this transformation of the spirit and nature of love from the character mixed and limited human emotion to a supreme, all-embracing divine passion. So there is a big difference between love as recommended in the Bhakti Yoga and love as normally human beings understand it. So that's what he's saying here. There's a big difference, and it's not altogether difficult for the mind. You can have a certain, but it is difficult to put into practice. It is not altogether difficult for the mind, the normal mind of man, to envisage, to think, or image to oneself, even though it may be difficult for the human will with its many earth ties. The earth ties are the attachments we have to family, to home, to our friends, and to even our other things also, our desires. It may be difficult to accept. What? Accept what? This transformation of the spirit and nature of love. And from what it has to go to what? Normally, human love is full of egoism and also expectations. You do give yourself to others, but also you expect some return. Okay, so this is all the mixed and limited human emotion to a supreme and all-embracing divine passion. All-embracing divine passion, the divine only gives himself, never expects anything. So even in human beings, sometimes you can see that people do give themselves fully, but there is not much of an expectation. Okay, so that's what he's saying here, that it can be like that. Okay, so not very easy, but it can be done partially, not fully. It is when we come to the works of love that a certain perplexity is likely to intervene. And what is that? It is possible as in a certain high exaggeration of the path of knowledge. When you are trying to, the high exaggeration, he's saying when you are trying to get knowledge, okay, you find that the noise of the world, the sights and noises of the world are disturbing you. So you cut yourself away from the physical world. So that's why he's calling it a high exaggeration. It is not necessary to get away from the physical world. It's a high exaggeration. It's very difficult. When you are sitting in your room, the noise of the traffic, the barking of the dogs, all this does disturb you. But you can even meditate in the middle of the battlefield, as he says. Okay. So it's a high exaggeration to think that you have to necessarily leave the physical world. It's not necessary. So just as in knowledge, also in love. That's what he's explaining. It is possible, as in a certain high exaggeration of the path of knowledge, to cut here also in the Bhakti Yoga, the knot of the problem. And how to cut the knot? Escape the difficulty of uniting the spirit of love with the crudities of the world action. When you are doing in the world, there are many, many crudities. Egoism, attachment, okay, perversions, all these things are there. Even if one loves as purely as possible, still there is always some imperfection and limitations in human love. So that's what he's saying. Very difficult to combine the two. Escape the difficulty of uniting the spirit of love with the crudities of the world action by avoiding it. You can cut the problem by avoiding the world action. Separate yourself, go up into the attic or go into the forest or the cave, and you escape the problem. It is open to us. So he's saying, withdrawing from outward life and action altogether, to live alone with our adoration of the divine in the heart's silence. Okay. This is what those who are interested in the Jnana Yoga do that. Okay. A very good example is the Raman Maharshi, who came, he went away from his home, never even told the parents where he's going, 16-year-old. And he went, and when he reached Tiruvannamalai, he knew that he has to go there. And he threw away all his clothes except one loincloth, just to cover his acceptable social behavior, if you want. Okay, just cover the lower part of his body and then go and sit in a it was a small cave-like recess in the temple in Tiruvannamalai, and he sat there for years, days and days. Sometimes he used to sit. And when he used to come out, he used to be hungry, he used to go out into the street and beg. But complete giving up on the physical world. It is possible to admit, he's saying that it is possible to live like that. It is, sometimes it is done, okay? It is possible to admit only those acts that are either in themselves an expression of love for the divine. So he is giving you different grades of the path of love. Either you can completely give up the physical world and go away, or you can be in the world and restrict your actions only to prayer, praise, okay, singing the songs of bhajans, symbolic acts of worship, or subordinate. Symbolic acts, you worship the photograph, okay, or you do going to the in the ashram. There are so many people who go there in the evenings and make the malas and arrange the flowers on the samadhi. All these are all symbolic acts of worship or subordinate activities. That which is not absolutely related to that, but do things like that. There are many people who, for instance, they offer flowers, they buy flowers in the market and give to the ashram. Or you may be buying things in the market for things needed for the worship, okay? Dhoop and all these subordinate activities. So he's giving you a whole grade, total plunging into the love of the divine, or restricting your withdrawal from the world and engaging only in prayer, praise and symbolic acts, or even slightly subordinate activities that may be attached to these things, and partake of their spirit, and to leave aside all else. Nothing, everything else you leave aside. Don't worry about it. Okay. No other activity except those which are connected with your love of the divine. The soul turns away to satisfy its inner longing in the absorbed or the God-centered life of the saint and devotee. This is possible. All the saints in India, there are so many saints. That's what they used to do. Only concentrate on the Lord and not do anything else. It is possible again, another possibility. It's possible again to open the doors of life. That means open the doors of life, accept the word. Okay. More largely, even more. Not only restrict your activities, but even more largely, and spend one's love of the divine in acts of service to those around us. So he is using the words philanthropy and benevolence and beneficence, charity. Okay? You can do that. And you may feel that you are doing it for the divine. Of course, philanthropy and all that when you do is good, but there's an ego that comes in. So for spiritual life, you have to get rid of the ego. He's not saying that philanthropy and benevolence and charity and all these things are not good. He's not saying that. But he's saying that afterwards he will tell you that there is an element of ego that comes in, a self-satisfaction. That has to be avoided. So you can do all this. I remember one girl who came from she was a Spanish girl, and we were having a discussion, and she said that for me, spiritual life is only helping others. Okay? I have to go and help the poor. I have to go and help the needy. That is my life. So it's possible for people to do that. Okay? It is possible again to open the doors of life more largely and to spend one's love of the divine. You're doing it for the divine, helping others in acts of service to those around us and to the race. Long ago, when mother started coming to the playground for cinema, we had a cinema. I think none of you will remember because it was a long time ago. It was called Saint Vincent de Paul. Okay, he was a priest and he was engaging in the helping of others. And it was a very interesting movie. Mother did speak about it also afterwards. And even when there was a plague in France at that time. And plague is absolutely dangerous. You know that, no? It comes from rats. And death is almost certain at that time. But he used to go and help people and he never got affected. So this is possible. You help people. Okay. The Ramakrishna Mission also engages itself in works of charity. They also do that. Okay. And even our Sadguru also is doing that. He's feeding the poor in the villages and all that. So this is the philanthropy, benevolence, beneficence, charity, succor to man and beast. And beast also, animals. There are so many people who come and feed the street dogs. And every creature, transfigure them by a kind of spiritual passion. At least bring into their merely ethical appearance the greater power of spiritual motive. So you can do philanthropy only for your own self-satisfaction, but you can also do it as though you are doing it for the divine. That's what he mentioned. So, with a spiritual motive, possible. This is indeed the solution most commonly favored by the religious mind of today. Okay? In the West, mainly, humanitarianism is a spiritual life, which Srimad does not agree with fully, but this is the charity and humanitarianism is the spiritual life. That's what they say. Okay? Mainly in the West, it's like that. Something in India also, but this is the idea. This is indeed the solution most commonly favored by the religious mind of today, and we see it confidently advanced on all sides as a proper field of action of the God seeker or of the man whose life is founded on divine love and knowledge. He has to necessarily do works of charity. That's the idea. If you are spiritual, you have to help others. You can help others in so many different ways. So that is ignored. Now somebody is saying why we have to go beyond the humanitarianism and charity. But the integral yoga push towards a complete union with the divine, with the earth life, cannot stop short in this narrow province of humanitarianism, charity, philanthropy, okay? Or limit this action with the lesser dimensions of the ethical rule, morality, of philanthropy and beneficence. You can do that as a, without the, note the word lesser dimensions. In other words, it is not even religious. There is no religion involved. In fact, usually that's what is happening now. You do it only to help humans. There is no question of God coming into it. It's a noble act when you help others. But the religion element does not come in. That's what he means by lesser dimensions of an ethical rule of philanthropy and beneficence. All action must be made, but this is now he's talking of the integral yoga. All action must be made in it part of the God life. This sentence has to be read in this way. All action must be made in it, in what? In philanthropy and whatever you are doing, part of the God life. Our acts of knowledge, our acts of power and production and creation, our acts of joy and beauty and the soul's pleasure, our acts of will and endeavor and struggle, and not our acts only of love and beneficent service. This is a very interesting sentence because Srimada's language we have to understand. What does it mean? He's saying our acts of knowledge. If you are a teacher or you are a teaching others, it can be not only teaching, but it can also be studying or research. Okay, our acts of knowledge, who is a researcher or who is a teacher. Our acts of power, which is the acts of power? Those who are in the Kshatriya. Okay, the acts of knowledge is that of the Brahmin. The acts of power is a Kshatriya, the one who is an administrator, the one who is in the defense. Okay, you are in power, you are a minister at the center, and production. You are a Vaishya. Okay, so this is what it means. We are likely to miss that's why he's including all, whether you are a Brahmin, whether you are a Kshatriya, whether you are a Vaishya or a Shudra. Okay? It is always, you have to do it for God, not for humanity. Made in it part of God life. Our acts of knowledge, Brahmin. Our acts of power, Kshatriya. Production and creation is the Vaishya, who is producing, the industrialist, the one who is all the activities of the Vaishya. Okay? Our acts of joy and beauty, the artist, okay? The acts of joy and beauty and the soul's pleasure. Our acts of will and endeavor and struggle, okay? And not our acts only of love and beneficence. The last one, the Shudra, okay, is saying endeavor and struggle. Okay? That could indicate, because he is indicated in others, so you can interpret the acts of will and endeavor and struggle as those are the Shudras. So that's saying whatever you are in life, all can be done for God, and not our acts only of love and beneficent service. Its way to do these things will be not outward and mental, but inward and spiritual. And to that end, it will bring into all activities. That's why he has told you all the four categories. The Brahman, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and the Shudra. Whatever they are, the spirit of divine love, the spirit of adoration and worship, the spirit of happiness in the divine and in the beauty of the divine, so as to make all life a sacrifice of the works of the soul's love to the divine, its cult of the master of its existence. You do that for the divine at the highest level. Okay, it's very interesting. And now he comes back to the Gita. So also a very interesting para. Let's read that. It is possible to so to turn life. I didn't say good morning to Tarika. She has come and she is quite familiar with the Gita. Yeah, you're familiar with the Gita. So you read that. He's going to refer to the Gita now. It is possible. Tarika, read.
I cannot read today because I don't have text with me.
Okay. Then anybody else can.
I'm joining the garden. I don't have the book.
Okay. Archanati, you have got the text?
Yes, Rangada.
Okay. Then you read?
One.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is possible.
It is possible so to turn life into an act of adoration to the Supreme by the Spirit in one's works. For says the Gita, he who gives to me with a heart of adoration a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or a cup of water, I take and enjoy that offering of his devotion. And it is not only any dedicated external gift that can be so offered with love and devotion, but all our thoughts, all our feelings and sensations, all our outward activities and their forms and objects can be such gifts to the eternal. It is true that the special act or form of action has its importance, even a great importance, but it is the spirit in the act that is the essential factor, the spirit of which it is the symbol or materialized expression gives it its whole value and justifying significance. Or it may be said that a complete act of divine love and worship has in it three parts that are the expression of a single whole: a practical worship of the divine in the act, a symbol of worship in the form of the act, expressing some vision and seeking and in the form adoration and longing for oneness or feeling of oneness in the heart and soul and spirit. It is so that life can be changed into worship by putting behind it the spirit of a transcendent and universal love, the seeking of oneness, the sense of oneness, by making each act a symbol, an expression of Godward emotion, or a relation with the divine, by turning all we do into an act of worship, an act of the soul's communion the mind's understanding, the life's obedience, the heart's surrender.
Very interesting paragraph where he's saying that everything in life, whatever you are doing, can be made part of the spiritual life. It is possible so to turn life. Now, Srivendra uses the word so in this way. Okay, so it's very interesting. Like this, thus, in that sense. It is possible like this, in this manner, to turn life into an act of adoration to the Supreme by the spirit in one's works. Not the work itself, but the spirit in which you are doing. Okay, so that's the interesting part. For, says the Gita, he who gives to me with a heart of adoration, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or a cup of water, I take and enjoy that offering of his devotion. So, Gita's patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Whatever you can give, a cup of water, whatever you give to the divine, I take whatever is given to me, the simplest of things, and enjoy that offering of his devotion. In India, a leaf, okay, the bilva leaf is often used to worship Shiva, okay, and a flower in the ashram is very common to give flowers to mother, okay, a fruit, you give fruit, or a cup of water. Now, the water is very interesting because in all religions, they use water sometimes, consecrated water, and so it can be done in that way. I take and enjoy that offering of devotion. There is a very interesting story here, how what you are giving is not important, but the spirit in which you are giving is important. Okay. Once there was it is not recorded anywhere, it will come down orally, what I am going to tell you. Okay. There was a very poor person who had nothing, but she had tremendous devotion for mother. And she gave some good, okay, good means molasses, okay. She gave some good to mother. She sent it to mother. And mother used to keep that on her table, and she used to every day just take a little bit and eat it, okay, just a little bit, and she would taste it. Then Juman Bhai, who used to prepare her food and give her the food, I told her mother, after 5-6 days, mother, this good has become bad. Why are you eating this good every day a little bit? She said, you don't know, I am not eating the good. I am enjoying the spirit in which it was offered. Okay? So that's exactly what Srivendra is saying here. See? He's saying, in the Gita, I take and enjoy that offering of his devotion. That is what is important. Whether it's a cup of water or a leaf or a flower or a fruit, is not the question. Or even something very, you remember the story of Sabari, na? She is making sure that the fruits she is giving to Rama are sweet and not sour or anything. So she is herself tasting, okay, and giving to him. So normally this would be condemned as sacrilegious. What is it? You are giving something chuta to the divine after you have tasted yourself. But the spirit in which it is done is the matter. That's it. So that's what is being told here. I take and enjoy that offering of his devotion. And it is not only any dedicated external gift that can be so offered. Again, the word so, used in this sense, can be so offered with love and devotion. But all our thoughts, all our feelings and sensations, all our outward activities and their forms and objects can be such gifts to the eternal. Whatever you are thinking, whatever you are doing, everything can be offered to the divine. It is true that the special act or form of action has its importance. Okay? It's not that there is no importance. There is an importance. Now, I've got a note on special. Let me see what that is. Just 1 second. Yeah. Oh, it's a special in this sense, unique or specific to a person or thing or category. That's what I've just got a note. It is true that the special act or form of action has its importance, even a great importance, but it is the spirit in the act that is the essential factor. Spirit in the fact. someone who is giving 1 rupee offering, okay? It's very interesting that many money orders used to come to the ashram. Some were very small amounts, okay? 5 rupees, 10 rupees, money orders used to come. And sometimes these money orders, we have to sign or receipt. 100 money orders used to come to the ashram every day. And some of them are all very small, 5 rupees, 6 rupees. But what is the attitude with which it is given? That's the important thing. Huh? So, someone who is giving 1,00,000 rupees, but insists that it should be known, that everybody should know that I am giving this much. That has no value compared to someone who is giving his life savings is only, he's got only 10 rupees and he's giving 50% of it, 5 rupees. That's much more valuable than the other one. So that's what he's saying. All our thoughts, all our feelings, sensations, all our outward activities, the forms and objects can be such gifts to the eternal. It is true that the special act or form of action has its importance, even a great importance. But it is the spirit in the act that is the essential factor. The spirit of which it is a symbol or materialized expression gives it its whole value and justifying significance. Or it may be said, okay, that a complete act of divine love and worship has in it 3 parts that are the expressions of a single whole. And what is that? Practical worship of the divine in the act, a symbol of worship in the form of the act, expressing some vision and seeking or some relation with the divine, and inner adoration and longing for oneness or feeling of oneness in the heart and soul and spirit. So, what is meaning here is that these 3 parts are like this. The spirit in which the sacrifice is done. You offer it with the idea that you are offering this to the divine. The thought of the divine when you are doing it. It's very possible to drop some coins in the hundi box on the samadhi without any thought of offering it to the divine. Mechanically, you just drop a few coins into that one. That is possible. But the spirit in which you do is the most important thing. That's what Sri is saying. While doing it, while throwing that coin into the hundi, wherever it be, whether Tirupati or here, it doesn't matter, you are offering it to the divine. The thought of the divine is in your mind. That's the spirit. Next is the outward act. And what is that? You can do Shashtang Pranam, you can do only a Pranam standing up, or you can bow down, or you can offer your flowers, or even the priest, when he does the Arati, all these are the outward act. Okay? There is outward act. And then there is a symbol. What is it? A photograph or a stone image or the Guru, a photograph. So this is the 3 things that Sri is saying. Okay? So then it becomes complete. That's what he's saying. Or it may be said that a complete act of divine love and worship has in 3 parts that are the expression of a single whole. So it becomes fully when you have all these 3. Even Sri Aurobindo, he had, I don't think he had a picture of Sri Krishna, but he had something very interesting. He had a small vessel in which he had kept some soil from Dakshineshwar, where Ramakrishna was there. Okay? He had kept a little bit of soil there. And when the police came to search his places, they found this small vessel containing this soil, and they thought it is bomb material. So, and Sri Aurobindo says that is more powerful than any bomb material. So that's the interesting part of it. So even Sri Aurobindo had that. The outer act he had done. Okay. So normally you wouldn't think that Sri Aurobindo would have done that, but he did that. Okay. Or it may be said that a complete act of divine love and worship in 3 parts. Okay, clear. So, I need your adoration and longing for oneness or feeling of oneness in the heart and soul and spirit. Note that. Heart and soul and spirit. Heart is the upper vital, higher vital. The soul is your psychic being and the spirit is the transcendental. So at all the levels, it must be your aspiration must reach all the 3 levels. It is so that life can be changed into worship by putting behind it the spirit of a transcendent and universal love, the seeking of oneness, the sense of oneness. By making each act a symbol, an expression of Godward emotion or a relation with the divine, by turning all we do into an act of worship, an act of the soul's communion, the mind's understanding, the life's obedience, and the heart's surrender. Now just see this phrase. The mind's understanding, the knowledge aspect, the mind, the life's obedience, the vital, and the heart's surrender. So again, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. Life's obedience, Karma Yoga. Heart surrender, Bhakti Yoga. Mind's understanding, Jnana Yoga. It's very interesting because once Udar asked mother, tell me how to do this yoga. Okay. So mother told him something very interesting, and he has written about this somewhere. He said, mother told me, whatever you do, just remember me. That's all. Just remember me and offer. Remember and offer. Remember and offer. This is the mantra. Remember the divine and offer. So very often in this. Remember and offer. So she told him, when you are eating, for instance, you know that, not the whole family, Udar, Mona and Gauri, they used to go and eat upstairs, okay, along with Dada, Pranabda and mother. They used to have lunch together. Anyway, so mother told him, when you are eating, think that you are offering the food to me, and then you eat the food, and you will see something very interesting, she said. Even the food will taste better, she said, if you do that. So that is what has to be done. And food eating is one of the, well, in a way, more crude than any other thing. When you are thinking of the divine, it is subtler. But when you are eating, normally it is done for your own enjoyment and taste. But if you think of the divine and offer it to the divine and eat it, that becomes part of the spiritual life. Okay. So 8:31. So we have finished 2 paragraphs and we can, we have got 4 minutes. We can read the next one. I don't know how big it is. It's just, oh, it's quite big. So you decide. Should we read it? I think we better leave it here. No? We'll do this next time. In any cult, the symbol. So now Surendra is going to discuss the 3 aspects. The cult, the symbol, the act, and the spirit. That is what he's going to discuss in 3 paragraphs. So we'll do this next time. Okay? We discussed just now that there's 3 parts. Huh? Yeah, tell me.
What exactly is the meaning of the word cult?
Cult.
Because he mentions it's cult of the master of its existence. In the last para,
Okay.
the last line,
Ah.
it's cult of the master of its existence.
Okay. The last line.
Yeah, the last line.
Okay.
It's cult of the master of its existence.
I'm just trying to find it. So it's cult. Last line.
It's the previous paragraph, Rangada.
Oh, it's a previous
Page 162.
Yeah, I've understood. Yeah.
It's the end of the previous para.
Yeah.
And it's the last little.
Yeah, I've got. It's cult of the master of all existence. So, cult, I have to check the dictionary, but I have a note on cult elsewhere. So I'll just see whether it is clear. Okay, so cult. Cult normally means followers of an exclusive system of religious beliefs. Okay. And the word is used often in a negative sense, but here Sri is obviously not using in a negative sense. I'm repeating, cult is the followers of an exclusive system of religious beliefs and practices. So when he's using the word cult in this sentence, he means the one who are following. Okay, it's cult of the master of all existence. So for you, which is the master of existence? Okay, he may have used in that sense, but I have to check the dictionary to make sure of what I'm saying, because in the other one, cult is very clear. Okay, cult is usually the belief in a set of fixed religious uh,
Belief.
principles. Cult. That's why they say that in Sriyamdas Yoga, no cult at all. Okay. So we have to check that. So it's a good question how he has used the word cult here. I'll have to check that and we'll get back to it next time. Okay. I'm not sure. Normally, in the dictionary meaning of cult is that you are a set of beliefs in only one, religious beliefs, not spiritual, religious beliefs. Cult. It is used usually in a negative way. Okay. You exclude all the others and you plunge yourself into only one set of beliefs. That's a cult. But
Rangada, here,
it
here
cannot.
also it can be meant as a belief, no? Any belief. The belief of the master of its existence.
Yes, I think you are right. But I'd have to check, because normally the word cult is used, I told you, in a negative sense.
Different connotation, yes.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying is quite a good explanation. It's belief of the master of all existence.
Master of this existence.
Could be that. Yes. Because a cult is a belief, but in fixed religious terms. Yeah, it could be. I'll have to check that. I'll check it and add it to my text. Okay. So, all right. Au revoir, everybody.
Rangada. On
Have a-
Shumne.
Rangada.